lecture is on emergency first aid. One of the things that happens in almost any first aid situation or any emergency situation is that the people who we most rely on to take care of us, namely the EMTs, doctors, and nurses, probably will not be available during an emergency. If any of us remember Katrina or the after effects of that, or any major earthquake that we have, the one thing that we notice is that there are lots and lots of needs and very few resources to go around. So one of the things that we need to know is how to take care of ourselves and others in the event of emergency. About 5 years ago or so, when I first became professionally involved in this field, I went to work for a company called Vector First Aid, and they sold first aid equipment, disaster repair items, and those kind of things. And one of the things that I was kind of stunned to find out when I was in charge of selling first aid equipment is that there is no such thing as a standard first aid kit. Hi, come on in. Come on in and have a seat. There is no such thing as a standard first aid kit. There are recommendations by different organizations, the Coast Guard or the American National Safety Institute, ANSI, or other places like that. But almost anywhere you go, any company you go to, there is a wide varying range of first aid kits and what is in them. And one of the other things I found out as when I was trying to sell this as a professional, that people would inevitably be at seminars or things like that. People would say, well, what kind of first aid kit do I need? Well, that's a darn good question. And so I have to ask them a question, and that is, what do you do, where do you go, and what level of training do you have? By that I mean, if you have a big, huge first aid kit, something like this, that you hang on the wall with lots of things, are you the type of person that if somebody starts to bleed, you're going to run over and help them, or are you going to run away? If you're of the group that I'm going to run away, then you don't need a big trauma first aid kit because you're not going to help anybody who's in trauma, especially if you don't have any training that way. Let me put a small pitch in here. That's one of the things I do is CPR and first aid training. If you don't have some sort of training by me or anybody else, I suggest you get some. It's really good information to know for yourself and those around you. So the first aid kit is as diverse as who you are, what you do, and what your knowledge base is. If you work in an office, that's where you work all the time, and you don't work around construction sites or anything else, most of what you're going to need is small bandages. I mean, how many times do you put a bandage on a blister on your foot because your shoe doesn't fit very well, as opposed to fixing somebody who has a screwdriver sticking out of their neck? I mean, obviously, one happens more often than the other. In fact, most of the first aid I've ever done is the first kind, putting bandages on my daughter's feet because they wore shoes that were too tight. So the type of first aid kit that you have varies with what you do, what you go. If you are a type of person who does a lot of outdoor stuff and rides motorcycles, let's say, then you are probably going to want to have some amount of Band-Aids for the little bumps and scrapes and that kind of thing. But you probably also might want a first aid kit that includes some kind of splint. Now, if you are working in an office, you probably don't need a splint. I don't know that any tragic stapling accidents that require splints. It could happen, but I've never seen one. So what you do, where you go, probably would involve the kind of first aid kit you get. Those type of first aid kits, by the way, you'll always see a first aid kit that says 500 pieces. Well, yeah, the 500 is, 490 Band-Aids. Well, that's fine if you use a lot of Band-Aids for that purpose, but you kind of need to get one and customize it. The best first aid kit you can get is like any other kit that you get, a 72-hour kit or an emergency preparedness kit. Go buy one from some company and use that as a starting block to fill it with the kinds of things that you need. All of my first aid kits, or most of them, the ones that I carry around me, almost all of them have feminine hygiene products in them. I have wives and daughters, and they need those kind of products, A. B, they're also really, really good for trauma events. They are perfect for that endeavor, as a matter of fact. A lot of the combat veterans in Afghanistan and Iraq are commenting that that's one of the things that they use them for, is because they serve a very good purpose that way. So get one and then expand it to what you need it for. I brought along a couple of the ones that I carry with me. I have this one in a little backpack that I carry and go around with me. This one obviously is not going to carry very much stuff. I have another one too that has mostly just bandages in it. This one is mostly just medicines. Aspirin and Sudafed and ibuprofen and some burn cream and other kinds of things like that. A pair of gloves in here as well. So obviously this is not going to carry a lot, but you know, you can put amazing amounts of stuff in something like this. And so having something like this in your glove compartment or purse or somewhere close to you to have for a first aid backup is a good thing. This is actually the trauma kit that I have that goes underneath the seat of my car. This is the one I have all the time. This one has all kinds of things in it. It actually folds out. This is one of the older versions, but I can see if I can spill out everything out on here. It folds out, and as you can see, there's pockets for bandages and scissors, and that just fell to the ground. I have tongue depressors, I have cold packs, triangle bandages, and I have a thermometer and those kind of things. I have trauma packs. I have a splint that comes with the package, burn packages as well. Thank you very much. As well as trauma pads. So this is obviously more for trauma and life's big boo-boos rather than life's little boo-boos. But you know, there's a feminine hygiene product in here, and gloves and other things like that. So to use, you know, emergency blanket for people who are in shock and those kind of things. So this is more designed for major events. But all the things that are in here are not all that what came with the kit. I actually put a lot of extra stuff in there. A lot of the burn stuff I added in. A lot of the other things that you can get in addition to just the standard kit, because those are the kind of things I want to have around, because I'm a first aid instructor trainer. And so invariably, if I go out on camping or anywhere, everybody brings the injured people to me. And so if I don't have a first aid kit or something to take care of them, people look at me askance. So I mean, it happens to me all the time. I was out at a job site the other day, and on the radio I hear this, "Hey Corey, have somebody injured over here. Can you run to the other side? Come over and bring your first aid kit?" Yes. So I went over and took care of them. And so I need those kind of things because I have that happen to me all the time. This particular first aid kit actually sits inside my garage. On the wall of my garage, it's part of our kit. Should there be a major disaster or something like that, I need to come to the church, I need to go someplace, I take that off the wall, as well as a bag I have that has trauma pads and sea collars and a bunch of other stuff that I have that I can run out and take it anywhere else. But this also has, you know, aspirin and eye washes and everything else in between. So what should you have as a first aid kit? It ranges from having a little, you know, $4.95, you know, $5 boo-boo kit that you can take and keep along with you, up to $100 worth or more. I mean, you can really spend a lot of money, trust me, on first aid equipment and everything else that goes around. But you should have the basic things to take care of trauma and need.